Hi, and welcome to PJ and the Beard. This is our 19 conversation series brought to you to provide an hour of distraction. Number 37.
Oh, man.
Yeah, number 37. A good way to end the week this week. The last two streams that we did.
You got an unhealthy dose of us, and then we gave you the antidote with a couple of really good guests.
Right. Tim Steer from Hampstead. And I'm wondering, I hope people watch that one because that seems to be a really interesting company. Definitely, the whole way it got started and stuff is cool, but definitely putting some, just passion into what they're doing too.
And excellence. I mean, it was crazy having its own isolated power within the pedal.
Yeah.
And they're really an amp company, right? They only have like 3 pedals.
Yeah. With some more to come, I think. I don't think we can talk about anything else he talked about, but I think there's some more to come, and we should be seeing some stuff soon.
He did show us something off camera. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Dude, you already. I've been here the whole time, but I don't remember if you've already said hi to Sean Zimmerman and Pete Hickson. Maybe you did.
No, I didn't. We were getting to that, but thanks. Way to go.
That's how sharp I am. A minute, 26 seconds into the show, I don't know if we said hi to people yet.
And I'm the one that's like multitasking over here.
Right. I don't know what I was doing.
But yeah, how you doing, Sean? How you doing, Pete? Good day.
That's right.
Yeah, and then follow that up with Bob Bradshaw, which was just kind of
amazing. I'm still trying to take that all in. What I said probably not so eloquently at the end was we were thanking him profusely for coming onto the show because he's just interesting, and I tried to say that the word legend is thrown around a little too much for my liking sometimes, but that dude is truly a living legend. I mean, he's been in the business for 40 years, and his client list is second to none, and he was on the front end, cutting edge of a lot of that stuff. And interesting, as we talked, we kind of didn't point this out, but he kind of went full circle, right? He started working on pedal boards early on when it was pretty much just pedals, and then moved on to the refrigerator rack controlling, and now is back to maybe a little hybrid of the two, maybe not refrigerator rack, but certainly integrating with, we didn't ask him, but I saw him back there. He had like a Kemper sitting back in his shop, and just a really interesting guy.
Yeah, it's weird because, 10, 15 years ago, 15 years ago, I had a pedal board, and had a Voodoo Lab pedal pack on it, and I had one that I even at one point ordered before that. I still have it in the basement. It was, it weighs 1,000 pounds, and, it's like a road case practically to put on the floor. But the routing, people just threw pedals on them. They Velcroed pedals down, put patch cables on, hooked up power supplies maybe, but what pedal board building has turned into today is much different, I think, but it seems like he was doing some of that stuff back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. And I was shocked and stunned to find out that his first trip to Lidditz was in 1982. And because I did not realize that Tate Towers was based in Lidditz all the way back then, because Tate's the one that basically is the lighting portion of Rock Lidditz, is my understanding. And Michael Tate. I get him mixed up because there's a guy in the Newsboys, a Christian band. But anyway, Tate himself, I think, recently retired at like 74. But I was shocked when he's like, yeah, I was in Lidditz in 1982 when he was going to go on tour with Olivia Newton-John because they came out to Tate. It's like, wait, what? And I'd have to look at Clare Brothers. That might have been the early beginnings of Clare Brothers as well, perhaps. But who knows?
So you got Brody Hutchins and Mickey Stedelmeyer. Mickey. What is good, Mickey?
Mickey.
What's up, guys? So Clare Brothers, are they... So when we recorded the second CD I did with that band, we went down to a place called Right Coast Recording Studios. And that's like in the Hellam area, so it's south of York.
Right.
But the guys that own that are the guys that run sound and tour with the Rolling Stones. And And I wonder, and see, I've never really, I mean, people have talked about Clare Brothers and stuff for years, but I've never really paid attention. I wonder if those are some of the same guys.
It'd be surprising if it wasn't. I mean, what are the chances of two companies of that magnitude operating within, 30 miles of each other?
Right.
And really, Clare Brothers sort of, and maybe we could, listen, I think some point after this is all over, I think we're going to take up residence in Rock Lidditz and just try to see if we can go company by company and interview them down there, because it's a spectacular place. But the Clare Brothers, I think initially were kind of known for the enclosure part of the speaker, right? Like the way they designed the actual enclosures, and I think maybe built some of the first arrays and flue speakers early on. But I think they're really, as much as we found out that Chad Taylor is the reason Bob Bradshaw is here. Chad Taylor from Live, because Live is from York, and so Chad is back in this area and has a studio in York, and he was the one that brought Bradshaw here. But Clare Brothers, I think, are the driving force behind Rock Lidditz. I think they were sort of the heavy hitters in that group, as far as I understand. But
so Dave Wilkerson comes up on the about section for Right Coast Recording. Now those guys that were doing the Stones and stuff, they weren't there when we were there.
Right.
They were actually out on the road with the Stones,
So David Barber chiming in saying the first business was loudspeaker reconing business. So they started doing that, and then I think we're known for their enclosures. Brian Land, I think Uncle Bry's there. Yeah, I'm going to trust you to read that.
Yeah, I mean,
even if I do that.
Bad Company, Billy Joel, Dixie Chicks, Live, REM, Steve Howe, yes. I'm just looking down their client list for that Right Coast Recording Studio, but I don't know. I mean, because the about doesn't give me
right
a lot of that history, and maybe it's not something they talk about. I don't.
Oh well, yeah, we're gonna get to that, right? 1 second. But going back to Pete Hickson made a comment about that when I said about Hampstead putting the isolated power right inside the pedal. I just got caught up with his comment. He's like, that's a great idea. Because, noise and dirty power is one of the biggest challenges to deal with when changing locations, like if you're touring or whatever. So,
good idea on their part. I mean, I don't know how feasible it would be all the time, but it's interesting to.
Right.
I don't know. Pretty cool.
So anyway, sorry, you moved on to the clip. I apologize.
I was trying to get. I had that tab of Right Coast up, and then I closed it, and then all the other tabs are popping up. Right. But let's do that. Let's move on to the clip. So Pat sent us today, so you go ahead.
So we're kind of back to the clip of the day being one of us maybe introducing an artist to people, maybe not. We're not bold enough to think that we know all the underground people by any means. But today we're featuring Tuck Andrus. And I first saw Tuck Andrus play because he's in a group with his wife, Tuck and Patty. She's an African-American woman, fantastic singer. They're just like a duet. But Tuck Andrus is a freak of nature on the guitar, and thought I would feature him today. There was other clips, but trying to be cognizant of copyright. They do great remakes of Hendrix songs like Castles Made of Sand and Little Wing and that kind of thing. So after we watch Tuck Andrus, at some point, go look up Tuck and Patty, and it's really cool music. And he plays probably like a Gibson L5 and uses quite a few different techniques. But so we have a clip, Tuck Andrus.
Let's play a little bit of that. If I can get it back up now.
Right. Gone forever.
So here they are. Oh, wait, no, I have to reshare that because it wouldn't have the speaker thing on. Sorry, guys.
Okay, that's all right.
We've only done 37 of these, so. Wow, we've done 37 of these? Here we go.
I know. Tomorrow will be double 19.
Yeah.
It's like incomprehensible, right? And imagine that. So if you don't go to the rabbit hole, which I'm telling you to go down, his wife, really warm, soulful, a little bit darker, a little bit deeper voice. But imagine when it's not quite as intricate as that of her singing over top of that. And sometimes she kind of scat sings over top of it. So if you're kind of looking for some just kind of like chill out music, maybe while you're cooking dinner for your wife or whatever during this quarantine, check out Tuck and Patty. You won't regret it.
So I got an interesting Gary Harrington, who we've talked about. We showed that 1979 Les Paul of his.
Right.
One night was going on and on about Tuck and Patty and how great Tuck and guitar player was and stuff. And that was during the times of Barnes and Noble and Borders. And I spent a lot of Saturday mornings at Borders buying CDs. And because he did that, I bought that CD, which is a Tuck and Patty Learning How to Fly CD.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I've ever listened to it more than once. Because
what's the track listing on there? Any tracks you recognize? Because I think that's one of their more popular ones, honestly. But
Living the Light, Heaven Down Here, Learning How to Fly, Strength, Woodstock, Drum Up from the Skies, Tossing and Turning, Getaway, In My Life, Yeah, Wide Awake, Still Tossing and Turning.
Yeah, In My Life is a great one. It's that's the Beatles, right?
I don't know. It's Woodstock. Like I said, I'm not sure I ever got much past the first track on it, to be honest with you.
Is the cellophane off of the jewel case?
Cellophane is. And it just wasn't what I mean, from what he talked up and what I expected. And this was really before, like, YouTube, I guess. Like, you go and, like, look people up on YouTube. Now, if he would have said that, because right after this video, the next one on my feed came up, it was him playing a Stevie Wonder tune.
Yeah, Superstition, I think.
No, it wasn't Superstition. It was I can't remember. Let me see.
Click the next button. Let's find out. We got time.
Well, it might not be the same because that was on my phone, and
all right.
But my phone history would show it. It was Stevie Wonder's I Wish.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. I mean, it's like the first comment says, "My eyes and ears have no idea what just happened, but that was awesome." And I felt the exact same way after watching it. I was like,
Well, it's kind of funny because, the CD you have, if there's a picture, at that point, Tuck had, brown hair and looked a little bit less like Pat Metheny coming out of a cabin like this picture here. But he's actually got an instructional video, which, listen, those like Star Licks, Hot Licks ones or whatever, I'd go to those guitar shows in Philly. I wouldn't buy them thinking I was going to learn anything. I just bought them for entertainment. And one of them was a Tuck Andrus one. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, great. This is cute. I'm going to watch it.
So down in the chat, Brian Landers said, "Is there any video of you guys performing live?" None that I know of the two of us performing live together.
Right.
I know there's some video out there of like some of the blues band stuff that I did.
Brad Miller just checking in. Brad, we're looking at his name's Tuck Andrus. Just interesting guitar player. You should look him up.
Brody, I agree.
Yeah.
Brody said that Bob was such a big deal and way cooler than he could have imagined. I had met him once at Tone Taylor's. He was like sitting behind the counter. This is like 2 years ago, sitting behind the counter, and I had a question for the guys there. And they kind of asked him a question, and there was like a quick answer, but
That's what I would have gone into my Chris Farley, from Saturday Night Live. Hey, remember that time you made all of those racks for Steve Lukather? Remember that? That was awesome.
Right.
What gauge strings should I buy?
I knew who he was, and I knew he did stuff for like some of his favorite guitar players, but I also knew like he might answer my question about a MIDI cable, but he's not going to like some schmo off the street.
Yeah,
but Warren Haynes,
and he's not going to ring you up.
Right.
No, I didn't know what to expect. Right? We just don't know what to expect. I mean, because honestly, until 10 minutes before it's go time, any communication has been, Instagram direct messaging or email. And so that when they come on, everyone has been great. Like there hasn't been anybody where you're just like, oh, this is going to be rough, or man, that person, wasn't what I expected. A little bit of an attitude. I mean, everybody's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Just
I feel like we're playing Russian roulette. There has to be one of them in the chamber somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Haven't yet.
Well, I guess let's stay with our format because I think we're on to the other of the day things. We did the clip of the day.
Right. I was just looking down here at the chat. Is there anything?
Yeah. Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Tommy Emmanuel too. Man, whew. I've seen him live 2 times, 3 times. But that same concept, right? You're playing all of the chords and the melody at the same time, and you would recognize that more if you listen to something that Tuck Andrews played that you were familiar with, like a Hendrix song or a Beatles song or whatever. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, then we could feature, maybe one day we'll feature somebody like Charlie Hunter, and then they really blow your mind. Pedal of the day first?
Yeah.
At the format. So I haven't seen him join in yet. I was hoping maybe to see him join in. If you guys were here when we interviewed
Jamie Stillman.
Thank you.
Yep.
A guy, Mike Roadblock, was in here that day. I think actually it was like the next day Mike Roadblock was in the chat, or several days later, one of the days we were kind of recapping the week. We were talking about Jamie Stillman and brought up how his cranker pedal was his favorite pedal.
Right.
And I said, if it's his favorite pedal, I'd like to have one of those. And Mike popped in and said, hey, I have the cheapest one on Reverb right now. I'll make you a good deal. And if he was in here, I'd let him tell you what the good deal he made me was. But let's just say, shout out to Mike because he did. He made a good deal.
Let me just put it this way: it was reverse haggling. You were trying to get the price to go up.
Right. Right. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah, come on, man.
Nobody does that. Like, did it?
Right.
And then it took 2 weeks to get here. Got lost in the mail or something. Or USPS couldn't find it, but it got here today. And I also want to give him props for the most interesting packaging job I've ever seen. So that was cool. It only took 30 minutes. I said to Pat, I should have unboxed it on the show. It would have been great. He threw a couple picks in, so that was cool. Didn't have to do that. But here it is. So pedal of the day is and I like how he has covered up the title with his own version, the cranker. It's the speaker cranker by Earthquaker Devices. And he has one of these little knob guards on, so you can't bump the knob. Okay. You gotta get yourself in there. That's what that's about. It's hard to tell that in the picture. Now I see it in person, I know what it is. And I put it in, and it's cool.
You just told me briefly you kind of understood why it was on Jamie Stillman's board and kind of an always-on pedal for him.
Yeah, I mean, it does what he said it does. It's one knob. It's not a boost pedal. It's an overdrive pedal. And you have one knob, and the knob is labeled more, and you get more overdrive as you turn the knob up. There's a volume jump as you turn the knob up, probably, but not as significant as I kind of thought it would be. And I would need to play. Well, we'll have to record a video for it or something, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And it sounds good. It cleans up your roll the volume back. I can see why Jamie likes it so much, and so. If a pedal builder says this is my favorite pedal that I build, then I think it's worth. It was a bit of a quandary / conundrum of this is my favorite pedal I've ever made, and we don't make it anymore. Well, it's weird because Jamie here. All right, so into the pre-conversation with Jamie Stillman and the post-conversations with Jamie Stillman, Pat and I have always seen Earthquaker as being kind of innovative and capable of doing really strange things, right? Their pedals are not, which is weird because the one that I have is the Dispatch Master. It's a good delay and reverb, and that's what it does. It does a good delay, it does a good reverb. There's nothing really out there about it. But for some reason, I think a lot of people have gotten in their head that Earthquaker does these kind of out there pedals. And Jamie's like, I don't understand that. Jamie's like, we're so traditional. Like a one knob overdrive. The thing, I mean, that's where he was at, right? He thought.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny because I tried to warn him up front. I'm like, listen, you are dealing with two milk toast guys here, right? Like, because he has a lot of eclectic artists that if you go down the path of looking at his artists and click on some of their videos, I mean, they're going nutty stuff. So it is kind of funny that the two pedals that Jason has of Earthquaker are probably two of their more mainstream, like, pedestrian pedals. Not that all of those, except for maybe the Rainbow Machine or whatever, not that every one of those can't be dialed into something.
Well, I mean, like the Hummingbird we got is a very straight ahead tremolo, but it does. I mean, on the extremes of that thing, it's really cool.
Right.
Down in the chat, Pete said he puts felt washers under the knobs so the pedals to stop any unwanted movement. And I don't have, those Grosh like beer bottle things that everybody uses for their washers on their
strap locks.
Strap locks.
Yeah.
Same thing on pedals. I'll put those under. I have a few. In fact, the ones I have them on, David Barber's old original direct drives had a push-pull pot on the tone, and he would have to tell us remind us what that does. But I like it better up, so took the knobs off, put one or two of those little Grosh bottle caps or washers or whatever, and put the knob back on. It doesn't move. Because I used to hit it with my foot sometimes and pop it down in. Doesn't happen anymore. So
cheers.
Pedal of the day. The Earthquaker devices cranker. Speaker cranker. Yeah, it's discontinued.
Pool harmonics, David says.
Yes. Whatever it is, David, I'll let you better up.
That's the more betterer setting for Jason.
Right. And actually, he took that off, I think, on the new ones.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he took that off because everybody liked it up anyway.
Allergy season, kids. Sorry about that. Moo boy. Well, I guess that moves us on to the guitar of the day. And
yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know if we should call it the guitar of the day because we'll run out eventually, but
right. Well, other than most of the time we have a guest, we don't do it because we want to dedicate a lot of time to the guest. We still do the clip of the day and try to feature something related to the guest, and then generally we've had so many pedal builders and things, we try to feature something they've made there. But so in honor of Straturday, I have this light's terrible, but it's really cool. So I have my 2009 American Deluxe Strat with someone changed out to the Poor Light pickguard by the time I bought it, but did keep the original mint. It's more of a mint green pickguard in the case, which goes along with what we always say. You want to modify something, try to keep the original pieces parts. But very nice. I got it pre-owned, but it came in like one of those ATA like flight cases that's not shaped like the neck. It's more of the rectangle one, and it's got locking tuners, and it's really cool with the deluxe ones. The you can't really see it, but the logo. Maybe if I can see if I get it this way. The logo is actually like silver. So it's really nice, and I do love Sunburst, and it does have a little bit of grain on it. You can kind of see there.
I should have made that bigger while you were holding it up the whole time. You got to remind me of that. I'm such a bad.
Well, there you go. Now you can see it. You can also see the light that I have shining right in my face. So that you can see it's kind of interesting grain. You know what I noticed the other day looking at this is the neck. Look at the grain on the back of the neck. Like you can see right here. And then all of the striping. And then you can see it going down right around the joint there. And it kind of wraps around even on the headstock. It's got some grain. It might be kind of hard to see that, but because it's been sitting here in front of me for a couple of days, and I was kind of looking at it, and I've never really taken that close of a look at it before. But it's interesting especially on the headstock too, where you can just see the grain kind of fades away over there. But the other thing that's interesting is that it has the S1 switching system where you push down on the volume, and it basically makes the pickups run in series at that point. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but for me, it makes it a little bit beefier when it's pushed in. It kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe thicker, like a lace sensor. We've talked about the lace sensors before, and I'm going to make Jason cringe because I'm going to play it and it's going to sound like crap, but like so that was regular, and here's when it's pushed in.
Sounds deeper underwater.
What's that?
It sounds deeper underwater.
Yeah, that's right. It went 6 feet deeper. Anyway, but very usable tremolo. Everything else pretty standard. So it's a deluxe. I got it for an amazing price from our dearly departed friend Randall Robertson at Triple R Guitar in Lemoyne. This, and since it's sitting right here, the bonus guitar of the day, but I've shown it before, is this deluxe American Telly that I don't know if they were owned by the same person, but they were hanging in the store at the same time, and I walked out with both of them. But this Telly has a really seriously like contoured body, and this one is 60th anniversary, so I think it's like 2005. And I did not put that Perloid pickguard on there, but apparently I like them. So there's your bonus one of the day, because they're kind of sisters, cousins, whatever, but they're both sitting right here. So.
David said, "Free Leslie effect with YouTube streaming." I have somebody has to make a streaming effect pedal, like
just a filter, right? A stream yard filter
captures the sound of streaming a guitar. So when this is all over, people can still sound like they're 3 feet underwater.
Yeah, Brad, I don't always use the S1, but I do find myself sometimes on the bridge, because I don't necessarily want a full humbucker in a Strat, because I really like the look of a traditional Strat. But I find even with that, it seems like it has an effect, even when it's not with it blended with another pickup. But I could be completely wrong, could be completely making that up. But
what year is that?
2009.
So mine would be 11 years earlier. It's 98.
While you're doing that, David Barber nominated Josh Scott to make that filter or that pedal. He doesn't want to do it.
So have we shown this on the live stream?
It might have come up. I don't know. I like it. Your wife doesn't like it. I like it. You could just put it up behind your head every stream. I'd be fine. And so would Uncle Bry.
It's a running joke. If we haven't shown it on the live stream, it is certainly a running joke on the channel that I have this 1998 American Deluxe. We had to show it because it was the first guitar I ever bought paid.
Yeah, that's when we did. Yeah.
So we had to show it.
Yeah.
Just real. I mean, so maybe we shouldn't even bother. But
I'll do it again, because not everybody.
Since you're doing Saturday, 98 American Deluxe. Locking tuners. I don't know if there's anything really special other than this color. Let's see if we can get.
It's kind of hard to see.
I don't know. The light is not. I had to move the light, and I don't think I got it back to where I had it before. Can you see the color? You can see the wood grain through it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a teal green.
Yeah. On your fret markers.
I love that abalone inlay on the dots.
Right. That's the one thing I didn't say, because I noticed that on mine. But yeah, I think they did a really nice job with the inlay on those dots.
So I mean, and I actually think I bought another Strat because my wife wouldn't. I mean, literally, I'd be like, I'm going to take my Strat. No. Like the color doesn't, whatever, hon. So I bought an American Standard Strat, 2014 American Standard that I got on like Craigslist for like $600 or something, like something ridiculous price on this guitar. And I think that one sounds better, for sure.
Mm-hmm. you can tell your wife there's 3 votes for liking that color. David Barber likes that one as well.
Brian Landreth loves it.
He does every time it's come up because we've played it and talked about it before. There she is.
Oh my God, she doesn't watch any of these, and the second we start talking about it, we keep trying to bring her down and set her down here and start handing her guitars and make her see if she can name these.
I was just talking about what great taste you had in guitars before you popped on. Yeah, Brody was given kind props to that guitar. That Telly, he flew in from Nashville for a gig and didn't want to bring guitars, and so he had that Telly and the Duesenberg I showed in like a carbon copy. But yeah, no, that Telly is super nice as well. And I told Jason the other day, we were talking about guitars and ones that strangely enough had replaced our PRSs at the time, and Brody has a Telly from the mid 90s maybe that I think I borrowed for like 2 years and played it almost exclusively. That was my first taste of a real Telly. Tellys are great. I mean, I do love Strats, but man, Tellys are just, there's something about them.
Sorry, I said to you, Pat, the other day, sitting down here by myself with a Strat, I love them. I do.
Right.
And every time I see a Strat pop up on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something, I often find myself like there was like a Seafoam or one of those like kind of light blue ones, kind of like you have, with a total rosewood neck that showed up on Craigslist a while back. I always click on them. I'm always like, man, I should. And then I'm like, but I don't play them. I don't take them out to play. Like if we're playing live, I don't play them. Or I'll try. I'll take them to rehearsal and then I won't play them.
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay, Brian, Uncle Brian checking in on Mrs. Beard because way back in the show, she did have some significant surgery, and our YouTube friends were kind enough to ask about her every once in a while, and Brian's asking for an update.
I don't know if she's. I kind of feel like she was delivering groceries to her mom. I don't feel like I heard her come home, so she better not be.
Is that why you thought you could talk about it?
She better not be driving, watching, and commenting. So maybe I better answer for her.
You can speak.
She said
doing well.
Yeah. Still, though, they say it can take up to a year for all the swelling to go away, I think. And
well, Jason was a good husband because when she could not eat solid foods, he did all of his food eating out of the house. Matter of fact, Jason and his son and I went out to a steak. We get a steak one day because he didn't want to keep bringing food into the house that she couldn't even put in a blender and have. It was. Well, she said she's at a traffic light. There you go.
Turn your phone off. Put your phone down. Stop driving your phone on the dashboard. I'm just listening. I swear, I'm just listening. I'm not watching.
That's right. I only go to Hooters for the wings.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you. You did them. That was a rough surgery. It really was. It wasn't like a cosmetic thing. It was they broke both of her jaws to improve airway and stuff with her teeth, and I mean, like literally broke both her jaws and moved them around. It was crazy.
So I'm just curious. Does anyone have a guitar that they love the way it plays, but maybe they don't like the way it looks, or somebody that's close to them, or another bandmate is like, "Oh my gosh, that thing is hideous." Does anybody in this chat have one of those?
Oh, do you have a guitar that's ugly, but you play it anyway? Is that what you're asking?
I think that was the question, more or less. It's just so great. Like it works for you, but you know, and this would be a good time for you to then bring out the gold Gretsch because you'd be like, oh
yeah, I just looked to see where it was. It's like in the worst place in the room to get, but. I like the gold sparkle Gretsch, so I'm not bringing the gold sparkle Gretsch out for a conversation about ugly guitars. That's going to have to come out as a guitar day some other time when it's not ugly guitar day.
Yeah, I personally don't think any of the ones within eyesight of mine are ugly. I don't know if I have one or not, honestly.
I don't know that my red PRS. I don't know that red would have been my first color, but I certainly love the way that guitar looks now.
Yeah, the flame. The grain and that maple cap under there, that was pretty special.
I'm not seeing anything in the comments, everybody's sitting back like, no, my guitar's beautiful.
That's right. Well, I'm looking around. I've got Sunburst. Well, I've got traditional Fender Sunburst, then the Cherry Burst, then I've got a PRS Sunburst over there, a black one, and then I've shown this one before. It's not ugly, but it's not super traditional. It's kind of the gray Sunburst, and then my Martin's over there. It's a Sunburst. Another guitar is a acoustic with a standard top. I mean, I'm pretty boring.
I kind of like. I gotta admit, I kind of like Brody's pink Strats that he got for his girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know why, but they look kind of sharp. All right, so I get people all the time who will not buy pedals from me unless I paint them special colors.
Oh, well. Well, tell them you got just.
I guess they're not buying pedals from you because I don't see.
Well, just tell them just for them you created that blackout series of those limited edition ones, just for them.
Hate the gold hardware on his blue Strat, but it plays so good I'm scared to change anything.
Yeah.
A guitar that I really love that are too heavy so they don't get played anywhere much if they were lighter. Yeah. Two words. Dick Dale, Gold Sparkle is cool. Yes. Gold Sparkle. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know why I brought that up. I'm a little disappointed in him.
Whoops.
A little disappointed.
I will say that, and Brody will attest to this, I used to be about everything that was about as gaudy as possible, though, right? Like the Martin D45s with all of the pearl on it and the gold hardware. I used to be a gold hardware guy. A Sunburst guitar, gold hardware, as much abalone as you could put on it as possible. But I've kind of gone to the whole nickel thing, and I do have gold hardware on my one PRS, but I bought it pre-owned, so it wasn't necessarily. But it's black, so it looks pretty good. Yeah.
I don't think I have gold hardware on anything.
Well, and even the Dragon pickups in there, the pole pieces are gold. So, solid gold. Right.
So I took the telly down to Chris today.
Okay, nice.
Let's bust on my wife somewhere. I took the telly down to Chris, dropped off. So Chris Delaporta has the telly, the Twisted Telly pickups, and the Bigsby, and he's going to try and get that on here. And while I was in the store, when I say in the store, he's not open, whatever, but masked up, dropping it off. I had to show him a couple things. He had on the wall a couple cool guitars. He had a couple. He's been moving a lot of stuff on his Reverb page that he got from that big buy that he made. Had a couple Diarmans that look pretty cool. And then he's like, well, that Flying V is pretty cool. You know, this will irritate my wife antenna go up, that Flying V. And I look, and there's a pretty cool looking Flying V. And my body goes up the V to the headstock. It's a Dean and has that crazy, like.
Oh, the reverse, the split, yeah.
Right.
The mirror of the body, right?
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't
because you're not Dimebag. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're going to go like space age, you're going to go 1950s space age, right? When 50s, 60s, when the Explorer and all of that stuff was kind of coming out.
Pete Hickson says he gets trouble all the time for playing a Squire thin line. Dude, if it's
anything that's a thin line, though, I think it immediately gets a pass.
I just don't play some really great cheap guitars.
I want David Barber to build
guitars.
I'd like David Barber to build me a pedal with F-holes in the pedal that lit up blue.
Brody doesn't like the Caribbean Mist on his telly.
But he has a telly, and I think... did you ever buy the matching Strat with that? I can't remember. I felt like you did, but yeah. I don't know. That telly, it's kind of a dated color like your Strat, but being that I was born in late 60s, but I always refer to myself as a child of the 80s. Those colors are fine with me.
So, Brody says he used the excuse for the shell pink for his daughter, but it's one of his favorite colors. I'm with you, man. I think it looks great. My wife said no Flying V. David Barber said no Flying V. I don't know if he's just trying to bag my wife up or.
I think David Barber
have one for sale. Is that what you're saying? You have one for sale? You'd like to? Terrible guitars.
We're going to take that as that David Barber wants to come over again and wants to make sure he's welcome.
Terrible lap guitars. F holes are beer pots.
Right. Could be.
Ports.
Yeah.
That's what you say.
Fill her up. Well, you don't spill too much beer in your pedals when you're playing at church. Not even communion wine. It's grape juice, and it's far away from my pedal board.
I don't know. So I was kind of leaning toward the headstock thing. How important? But that's such a beat to death conversation too. Is how important the headstock is. It's like the Tajima. You know, you're playing a Squire Thin Line. The Jazzmaster that I have down here is made by Tajima, and I like it. I mean, maybe if you're used to like really, really high end guitars, it would play bad for you, but I like the way it plays and the way it sounds. And the headstock isn't too bad, but I'm kind of a headstock. So.
Yeah.
It's astonishing how much liquid I can clean out of the pedals that are sent in for repair.
Oh, wow. So David Barber, it does look like...
Yeah, my wife.
David has succeeded in having his official invite back to the Beard Cave. Although the next stop will be down at David's place.
Should we bring this up?
I don't know. What is this? Oh, yeah, you got something else. Yeah, sure.
Well, so last week during one of these where we had nothing to talk about, we were talking about, we went through a bunch of different slides because I just gotten the mag slide in. So that started with Bosco France, right?
Yeah.
Bosco. And so, you know, the maybe I shouldn't be, I can't talk about anything. My wife is paying attention. The Bosco thing sent me down that, and I was like, well, I wonder what else is out there that's interesting. So this came from, I'd have to look it up, but it was on Etsy. Really reasonable. I mean, cheap. Didn't cost much. It was like free, honey. They sent it to me for free.
You know, being the YouTube sensations we are, people just ship us stuff.
Yeah, they just were like, oh, you want to buy something from Etsy? We'll just give it to you.
Right.
Don't worry about it, huh?
You have 1,000 subscribers now? Oh, everything's free from now
on. I left the paper upstairs with the name of the place on it that I got it from. If somebody was interested, I could look it up. It's actually like a marble slide. Look at that. It's weird.
Is it really heavy?
$11, maybe $12. But it's like literally a slide made out of like a marble countertop. It's not super heavy.
Okay.
I like the size of it to give you an idea.
I'm not trying to coax you into playing, but would it be more along the feel or the tonal qualities of maybe like the ceramic ones, maybe?
I'm not really sure. I think it's a little... I don't think so. I think the ceramic might be a little warmer.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be really, really heavy. And it's not really, really heavy. I wouldn't want to drop it on the concrete or... Well, I guess any of them really, if you drop them, they're done. But, I mean, I like the size. It's a little bit longer than what would be like my favorite ceramic slide. But it's still manageable. I don't know. I thought it was cool. They had a couple different stones that they make them out of. Like I said, I think let's say like $10, $12, something like that. So really not that expensive. Somebody had mentioned the Derek Trucks signature slide, and I have been wanting. They were sold out of those. I looked at Sweetwater; they were sold out of those because I wanted to compare it to like an original bottle. And so then I started looking at Etsy because I've never had reason to look at Etsy before. So I'm like, let's go see what's going on over there.
Great. That's what we need. One more place to look to shop for gear.
Right. Well, you know, they bought Reverb.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not know that.
Yeah, Etsy not too long ago bought Reverb and spent a lot of money to buy Reverb.
Wow.
A lot, like millions of dollars to buy Reverb. So you see some subtle changes in Reverb. Those are because it's starting to, you know, they have that behind it now.
Great. Does that mean Reverb can also hit me up with all of my scrapbooking needs at this point now?
What's that?
Scrapbooking needs and jewelry making kits and
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really cool. There is a lot of cool stuff on there. It's not just old women,
yeah.
making doll dresses.
It's a good marketplace. It's a good marketplace to sell stuff, right? I mean, it's pretty diverse, but
I thought that was neat. I don't know. I'm still looking around. Interesting. I mean, why not? I mean, I say extra. I think the deceiving thing of this whole social distancing, stay at home order is that I feel like I should have a whole lot of time on my hand, and I don't. But part of that's been this. So let's talk about next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
We have one confirmed.
Well,
one
so
confirmed,
it was.
And one, yes, send me an email, we'll schedule. And so I had that from Robert Keeley about 3 weeks ago, and we have not scheduled yet. So I kind of, I don't know. I'm afraid to mention it after that, but you can introduce the one, though, because that was your...
Yeah, it's really funny. Sometimes I don't know where I first became aware of somebody, but and this might be maybe through PRS. I'm not really sure. So Dave Weiner, I kind of saw him because he has Gitopia. He's like kind of like Tyler Larson from Music Is Win has a huge YouTube channel, and he does a whole teaching method, right? And so Dave Weiner, kind of the same thing. Doesn't have quite the huge YouTube presence that Tyler Larson does, but he's an endorsed PRS artist, and he has Gitopia. And then as I start looking at his background, he has been Steve Vai's second guitarist for almost 20 years. And I'm like, holy crap, I've seen Dave Weiner play live 3 times. And I always wondered, who is this guy that can more or less keep up with Steve Vai? Because they trade licks and do stuff like that. And I know he's on social media. He does a lot of Instagram stuff. And so just took a chance and just sent him a message and told him what we do, and told him that we had some other players on that he might know from the PRS family. And pretty quickly he agreed to come on. And so Jason did all the rest of the work and has him scheduled for Tuesday. So it'll be an interesting discussion to talk with him about his relationship with PRS and his relationship with Steve Vai. And but he plays in other bands and his Gitopia teaching. So it's good. I think he's good. And he's a really nice guy from Philly.
From Philly, yeah.
He's from Philly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like you see him in interviews. Like he was interviewed by Dan from That Pedal Show, and he's wearing a Phillies hat. And a lot of times on his live streams, he's got like an Eagles hat on or something like that. So I won't be able to really. I'll just get it right out of the way first with him that my parents are from the other side of the state, so I like all of the wrong teams according to him. So we won't get into that in the show. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to having him on. He just seems like a genuinely nice guy and just an amazing player. I don't know what I think someone should look like that plays with Steve Vai, but he's got like short hair and just like unassuming, doesn't have black nails or, anything like that. But
when you sent me some of those videos, I recognized I've seen some of those previously. Like, I think I saw the interview with Dan, and I think I saw some of the other stuff just from.
So he should be coming. He should be joining us from his studio, right? Just like Bosco France had the ability to play because he was kind of in his studio, and Brian Ewald from PRS was in his home studio. So hopefully, Dave will be able to do some playing and show us some of his PRS collection because he has kind of probably the only 7-string 513 ever made for his gigs with Steve Vai. And
yeah, I told Crystal Porter that he was coming on, and he asked me if he was a 7-string player. Does he play that a good bit with Steve Vai?
Yeah, with Steve Vai, pretty much exclusively is when he plays it. And he has another one. He has 2 PRS 7-strings that I'm aware of, and they were both from playing with Steve Vai, and one was from a previous tour. But I think the 513 7-string is the one he plays most of the time now because I think he was saying that one of the first PRSs he got was a 513, which is it's an amazing. It's a 513 because it has a 5-way blade and like a 3-way blade. So there's like just a crazy amount of combinations of the guitars. I think it's humbucker, single humbucker, and then a 5-way blade and a 3-way blade. The combinations are dizzying. But he had them building one in a 7-string.
So, and then the other guy, I mean, I was just looking did I get an email back yet? I think. Well, I don't know. We'll hold on. I don't know if that's next week. And there's a couple things going on. It's funny because people that we emailed 3 weeks ago, you haven't heard from, like, you email them or you send them a message or whatever. 3 weeks goes by, 4 weeks go by, and then all of a sudden, like, you'll get, hey, sorry for the delay. Love to do it.
Right.
Like, I have emails that are 3 weeks old in my inbox. I'm never seeing those again. So I don't know how that happens.
Right.
But I'm glad it does. So, and then there's another one, Paul Ewing, who's in the chat a lot, that's trying to hook us up with a guy that he knows. So hopefully there's some more coming.
Right.
Keep your eyes open. Hopefully we'll have a few scheduled for next week.
Guess we are going to run out of guitars at some point.
I think most of the ones that are down here have been showed at one point or another.
I've got.
Was the Harley Benton on the live stream?
I don't think so. I don't think it was.
So the Harley Benton, maybe the Gretsch, maybe has not been the. Although that might have been. I don't think the Guild has been on the live stream.
I don't know that it has. I think. Yeah, and some of these were kind of pulled off the wall for other reasons, and maybe not gone over in depth. Not that what I just did with my Strat was in depth by any means, but I've got a PRS over there that we haven't talked about yet, and Chris actually has one of my PRSs as well. But and you've already kind of shown the one of mine that's at your house, so that's why I kind of keep scooting out to the church in the cover of darkness and rotating the crop so I could eventually just be like, all right, and I'm done.
Hey, Pete Hickson's out. He's sorry for leaving early. It's all right, Pete.
All right, well,
no worries. Or what is it? Like still 7 o'clock there, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Okay, you're fine.
Jason is an educator. He'll write you a hall pass. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll give you an excused absence.
All right.
All right. So, and we won't be. So we've traditionally been taking Sunday off, so I guess we won't be on tomorrow. But then Monday we'll be back with either the two of us or a guest. We're not really sure at this point, but keep an eye out on YouTube, and we'll post who's going to be here and all that. Like always, we appreciate everybody that popped in. I think
thanks.
It up. Is that sound about right?
Yeah. I'm still just amazed that tomorrow. We kind of threw the 19 in there for a cute little reason, play on words, and thought, wow, how are we ever going to even get to 19? Because I don't think cumulatively we'd done 19 live streams in our entire existence. And so it's been a really good ride, and we appreciate, the faithfulness of the people that pop up in the chat, and still just personally, taken back by some of the people who have joined the show. And Brody does have a few people kind of in the wings for us that we were kind of hoping to do like in-person interviews, because at one point we thought we were going to be going to NAMM in July, but I don't think they've made an official announcement, but I'd be stunned if that would actually happen at this point. So maybe if NAMM actually officially gets canceled, we might tap into Brody for a couple people that he was going to try to connect us with in Nashville, and maybe we'll do it this way.
Being a very optimistic thinker to think that there's any chance that we're going to Nashville.
Well, I'm the kind of guy that like sometimes you're kind of picking somebody up and you don't want to be crass, so you just type beep beep on the text. I will not do that unless I'm sitting in the driveway, right? So I'm that kind of guy that it actually has to like happen before I say it is. So I think I know as sure as I'm sitting here, it's not going to happen. But until they actually cancel it, I'm like, well, if they cancel it. Brody has suggested a couple times that we interview each other and do a little bit of a rig rundown. We kind of came somewhat close to that, and I'm looking right there because it's right there when I did my little travel board, which I don't know that my travel board and my main board are really that much different. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if we have to dig that deep that we interview each other.
Due to COVID-19 pandemic, Summer NAMM scheduled for July 9th through 11 in Nashville has been canceled.
Well, there you go. So Brody, maybe we'll be having conversations with you about
I figured it had to be.
When was that dated? Was that?
I don't know. I'm just looking at your website right now.
Yeah.
It's not
I'm not surprised.
No, I mean,
Oh well.
We've talked about going over to church and doing a run through of that pedal board I have over there, but it would almost be embarrassing.
It's not totally embarrassing. It's not totally embarrassing in the sense that you talked about. What if you could build a pedal board that would never have to move? How big would it be, and what would you put on it?
Right. Or would you care how big it is?
Right.
So it is. It's a pedal board that never has to move, and
it's one that can accommodate the rotosphere.
Right. And it's modular though. Now come on, this one
it is.
Like, this is the most brilliant idea. I'm going to make a modular pedal board that never has to move. That way, if I need to bring home like the main bulk of it, I can. If I need to bring home just like the tuner effects, volume pedal wall, whatever was on that. There's 3 pieces. Like I could bring these 3 pieces home. And then you see
know what I just thought?
Bob Bradshaw's thing he made for Trey.
Right.
I might have seen that around the time I built that.
Right, and I think when people will actually see it, in some kind of strange way, it actually scratches the Flying V itch in its shape.
I'm never doing it. We're never showing that pedal board on this channel because it's ridiculous.
Basically, when he stands behind it, he is ensconced in pedals.
I think there's, and it's not really that many, but I think there is a picture of it on one of the episodes.
I think I have a picture of it on my phone. Well, and I mean, well, truth be told, right? Like, you're not worried about singing harmony parts. You're covering a lot of territory over there because I'm power palm muting most of the time, kind of driving the songs, and so you're adding all of the flavor mostly, except for my foray into tremolo every once in a while.
It is. There's really, like I said, I don't think there's really an abnormal number of pedals on it, but there was 2 principles. One, it doesn't have to move, and one, I don't want to have to move. Like, the idea of stepping over 3 pedals to click one on was too much for me.
Right.
Like, because I know true to I don't think there's many worship musicians in here. If they knew that I had a stand on stage with a chord chart on it, I'd probably get lambasted for that because you're not.
But at least it's on an iPad.
But that's where my eyes are. Sorry,
right.
I'm reading the music. And so I needed to be able to put those pedals on there, control the Leslie speeds, tap things in, turn on drives, to do everything without having to move my foot more than like this. So you got to ask yourself, how does somebody get a pedal board this big that only has to move his foot this big?
There's the thing.
There it is.
Well, in our conversation with Bob Bradshaw yesterday, I was just like, I want to say, Bob, have you ever had to make like one of the boards just all expression pedals? Because remember, we were talking about how many things can be controlled with an expression pedal. Like just one board that has like 8 expression pedals on it.
I saw a picture where I think Trey's board might even be like that, where there's multiple expression pedals on.
Right.
So maybe that's what I need. I need a Bradshaw thing for on the floor and a rack for all the pedals.
A Bradshaw built switching system littered with Barber pedals. It's a dream. It's a dream. A girl can dream, can't she?
That's what I need.
For Sunday, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Sunday mornings, that's what I need.
Yeah.
I need a Bradshaw
a
rig.
In case we have to have a load in, load out, you want to be able to just efficiently move everything.
But I don't want it to do 90% of what most worship guitar players have the ratio.
Right. You are not the texture guy in the sense that you're playing 1, 2, 3 notes. Like you're picking different chords and Leslie and different things, and then just playing some great solos. So yeah, it works. I like it.
Brody did that. He dropped the last little thing to put us off into the rabbit hole that would take us right up to the time, right up to the hour.
Right. So Brody must have, I'm telling you, there's a whole side wager going on with everybody in the chat of like, who's the one that's going to get the Venmo to them that day for getting these knuckleheads to go 60 minutes about absolutely nothing.
Apparently it's not hard because we've done it 37 times now. Minus the ones where we have guests because,
right.
So, all right, with that, I mean, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. Yep. Follow Facebook. All those, if you haven't followed one of those places, please do. That does help out. And I think.
All right. With that, I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.
Heard there's a new name in the chat. What's up? Hobo Roadie.
Ah,
Nice to see you. We'll see you next time.
peace out. Bye.